the Skeptick, John, as we're going to call him, but the Skeptick, if you've seen that floating circle on YouTube, you may not recognize the face right away, but I assure you they are one and the same. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am excited too. I have to say, John, I talked to you about this a little bit before the show, but I have had so many conversations about you. Like, I've had a lot of people talk to me about, like, hey, have you heard of this Skeptic guy? Like, hey, do you know about this guy's content? Like, you seem to just kind of blow up this last year. So I was really happy when we contacted you and you agreed to be on the show. Looking forward to this one. Honestly, really excited that you're here.
I'm a big fan of this show, and I love the whole call in and chatting to people and finding out why they believe what they believe. It's so fascinating to me, especially being a Brit in this country as well. You get a lot of strange things said to you.
Yeah, so this is something that's interesting. You just started. You've been on YouTube for a while, but you started the Skeptic channel fairly recently. It was last year.
Right.
You were talking about it, and sometime last year too. You also moved to the United States for the first time. You've been living in England your whole life. So you've moved to the United States in a very interesting time, I gotta say. And you moved to Kentucky, of all places.
Which is the deep end.
You wanted a big chunk of America. You were like, I'm gonna get the biggest bite possible. And you went straight for the jugular, dude. Like, you went straight to Kentucky. And honestly, I don't know how you do it. And I live in Texas, and it's like, this place is bad enough. I wouldn't trade it for Kentucky. Like, honestly, I don't think so. I don't think so, man. I don't know.
I mean, I don't experience a lot of the bad stuff that you hear about. And maybe that's just small town life and the fact that I'm British, I get away with a lot. So,
That's probably what it is. Yeah. Americans have this thing where if somebody talks to you in a British accent, they have this natural assumption that you are smarter than them. Like, I think that's instinctual for a lot of people.
So, and I use that to my advantage. I know that I may sound smart. I'm not smart. But the fact that I sound smart, I can get away with a lot. So,
well, I don't know about that. But for those who aren't familiar with your channel, you do a lot of, you talk about a lot of different things. Of course, you talk about skepticism on your channel. You react to different videos that you see, and just talk about, like, I don't know, just skepticism in general, what that means, what that process is. So, like, what got you started into doing YouTube and stuff, and talk about this? Because, like, there's a lot of people that obviously do this kind of thing. I mean, I do this kind of thing, right? So what inspired you to get into it?
I actually had an old channel where I did a daily vlog back in the day. So I was a fan of YouTube anyway, but I quit that after a few years, and I tried to revamp that channel by learning about the algorithm, and nothing was working. So I said to my partner, she's now my wife, I want to try something new. I'm a big fan of the Atheist Experience. I watched ObjectivelyDan with his flat Earth content, and I wanted to kind of merge the two things. And I felt like I'd gone over the peak of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I'd sort of reached the dip, and I felt far enough into that dip that I felt comfortable about talking about things without having to really know much.
But that's all YouTubers, though.
Yeah, right.
Like, I haven't met a single YouTuber that hasn't fell into the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, right. And so I got to this bottom part, and I was like, I need to start making content, and I'm going to do it on this. And I sat and researched what I wanted to do. I actually did 3 flat Earth videos, which fell flat, but I mixed it in with, like, religious claims. And I wrote 8 videos back in February last year. And then released them from March onwards for 8 weeks. And they started doing really well. And I had like 100 subscribers within a couple of weeks, and I was loving life. And then towards the end of last year, it just started happening, and I was getting lots of views. But I knew that I was eventually going to be moving to America as well, because I'd met my wife on the internet. And so I knew I was coming here. And it's very easy to be a non-believer in the UK. And I'd heard rumors that it's not very easy to be a non-believer in this country. So I needed some kind of outlet as well. So sort of putting all of it together, I went, I'm going to make a channel on talking about what I find silly about certain claims. And so I like to think of my content as almost the first step on the ladder of non-belief. I don't know a lot
Mm.
of the big words. I don't know all the fallacious arguments, the names for them, but I do know what sounds silly to me. So I put out that content, and then maybe if someone's going, I might be a non-believer, I like what the Skeptic's saying. If they want something more, they can go and find some other content creators that go deep into what they want. So yeah,
Mm.
I wanted to be that first step on the journey of non-belief.
I think that's so important though,
Mhm.
because I say this a lot, like I think we treat atheism as this rejection or acceptance of certain propositions, whether we believe them to be true or not, right? And it's
Mhm.
like just like we tend to have this very analytical conversation about it because we're so used to talking about this.
Mhm.
But then you talk to the average person about this, and they don't have the terms that we do. They don't have the like it's just not common for most people's experience. Like most
Right.
people, when they talk about this, it's pretty average conversation. It's what you see on fucking Joe Rogan and stuff,
Right.
right? Like Joe
Right.
Rogan to me represents what the average American conversation is like about most topics, for better or worse, right?
Mhm.
And it's like I appreciate the accessibility there as someone who also is, I mean, mostly a non-expert, right? Like everything that I talk about on here is because
Right.
I either read a book about it or I read something online. Like
Yeah.
that's
Right.
pretty much the
Right.
extent of it,
Yeah.
So, fuck it, why not? Like I do appreciate that we do have a lot of experts on
Right.
YouTube and people who really know what the fuck they're talking about when they have these conversations, but like that's also not most of us, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So
I
it's
like that.
making it more accessible to a wider audience, and then they then have the choice to go deeper into it, should they so desire.
So you've been doing this for over a year now. Have you
Mhm.
had any conversations with people that were maybe adversarial to you at first and are now cool with what you're doing, or like like what's that experience been like?
My mother-in-law is quite religious,
Okay.
and I still don't think she's a fan that I
Mm,
create content on it, and so we just don't discuss it.
yeah.
Um, so that's kind of makes things a little bit awkward sometimes, because I get excited about what I've done and all the things that I'm learning, and I just want to talk about it, but there's only certain groups of people that I can talk to about it. So those that know and accept it, I talk to them about it, and they're fine with it. But so it's only every now and then that there's an awkward conversation.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's like it's a no-fly zone for some of my family members when it comes to
Hmm.
this stuff. Even though I quite enjoy talking about this stuff, like
Hmm.
there's just family can be the most uncomfortable to talk to. I'd rather talk to strangers on
Right,
the internet calling to the show than my family, like every day of the week.
right,
I don't know
right.
what it is, but
Yeah.
it just makes it simpler. So like you've been doing this channel for a bit, and you're also in the US now. So
Hmm.
have you actually gotten any of those negative experiences that you were worried about yet,
Well,
or has it been mostly pretty chill?
it's been mostly chill. I've only
Okay.
had maybe 2 conversations where people have found out that I'm a non-believer of
Sure.
any deity, and they've gone, oh, okay."
Yeah.
And one lady, bless her, I didn't tell anybody for a long time. I say a long time. I've only been here for like 9 or 10 months, so I
Yeah.
haven't been here that long. But I waited a while before I started letting people know, so they could get like an idea of what I was like as a person, and the
Yeah.
fact that my non-belief doesn't change who I am. I'm
Yeah.
just that same person that doesn't believe. Anyway, so one lady found out that I didn't believe, and you
Mm.
could see that she was uncomfortable. And it took her probably 2 days to then come to me and say, "Now, I know we don't believe the same things, but I think we can still be friends." Uh, okay, it wouldn't
Which
have
is
been an
just
issue.
wow, such a great thing. It's like I can't
Yeah.
imagine saying that to somebody that's hey, you know what, dude? I know that you're a Christian, but
Right.
like I think we can make it work. Like, no, you like the same as 300 other million
Right.
Americans in this country. Like, okay, yeah,
You
sure.
have blue eyes.
Uh,
Oh, we can be friends. It's
yeah.
okay.
But
You know.
like the prejudices that people talk about in this community, I
Mhm.
mean, they are lifelong, right? Like it's not like you're wearing a red A on your chest every day and it's like, oh,
Well,
people know.
sometimes.
It's like, yeah, well, but it's not every day, right? It's
Sure,
like,
sure.
it does happen over a lifetime, but also like it's just not you're probably not going to be talking to your work friends about like, oh, hey, these are my deeply held convictions about God not being real. Like, I don't know. Maybe some people do that. I'm not like that way. I kind of save all that for this space right here. But that also kind of makes it why I think people, I don't know, why people don't think about this stuff as much, because they're probably not having the conversations that we wish that they could be having, because maybe they don't have those tools. Maybe they don't have people that they can talk to that are content experts or knowledge experts on some of the stuff that we can't talk about. So I'm again thankful that you're trying to make things pretty accessible. I'd like to think I try to do the same thing with this show. And hey, if any of you guys are watching this and you just want to talk to two random dudes on the internet, you can call us right now. The number for that is 512-991-9242. Or you can visit the URL tiny.cc/calltw. And we'd love to talk to you. Like if you think we're super wrong and there is a God and we're going to burn in hell, we'll talk to you too. Or maybe you agree with us. Either way, we want to hear from you guys. So looking forward to having some conversations in just a bit. Right now, I'm just chilling with you, John. Chilling with you.
I'm enjoying it. It's very
good.
Nice.
I'm glad. And so you were also telling me before the show that you went to your first Skeptick conferences / conventions recently. So how was that?
Yeah. Well, what I love about this country is that you can drive anywhere. So first off, kudos on that. But so yeah, my wife actually. Wife.
Wait, hold on. Side thing on that. There's too much driving in this country.
Really?
I think the advantage that you have where you're from is that you can just walk to fucking places, and that's fine.
True.
I can't walk to the grocery store where I'm at. I have to take a car. There's no sidewalks to get over there and stuff. We're not a pedestrian friendly country for the most part. But anyway, that's a side tangent. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
But so actually, it's more my wife. My wife's brilliant. She's very supportive of all of this. She's a non-believer herself, and she went, "Oh, there's this convention down in Georgia. Do you want to go to it?" I was like, "Yes, I want to go to it," because in the UK, conventions for atheism and skepticism aren't really a thing, because the majority of the country is at least a nun. They don't have any belief. So
or maybe vaguely deist. Maybe
vaguely, but not so much that they talk about it in any way.
Sure,
it's more of a background thing, and the whole religion thing, which we can get into another time, is very much a tradition thing over there, more than like a belief structure. But anyway, so she said, "Do you want to go to this AA con down in Georgia?" And I went, "Yes, I want to go there." And at this point, like, nobody knew what this was, because I was still a circle, just a floating circle, and I was just talking to people, and you get the odd look going, "Oh, hang on. You're a British voice and you sound just like this thing. You're the person."
You're that guy.
Yeah, right. So I'm massive into meeting people and being part of a community. So going to stuff like that is definitely for me. So I had a great time at AA Con, made loads of friends, and I met Dave Warnock as well, who I know is a friend of yours. The loveliest guy. And I've helped him out on some things as well, which we can talk about another time as well. So it's just great for meeting people. But recently, the weekend before last, I went to the Better conference up in Indiana. And that was just fun. There were only about 100 people that went to it. But I like being in a room with like-minded people who just want to make what we do normal. Like, we don't believe in a higher power, and that's normal. And, you get to hang out with people who do that and almost validate your position, which is another thing that I feel like my channel does. I like to validate what people think about things. So, it's just, I love it. And I'm going to be going to way more, thanks to my wife, who says, "Right, you're going to this one next, and you're going to this one next, and you're going to this one next."
That's awesome. Great. I haven't gotten to go to any this year, which I'm kind of bummed out about. But I remember the first one I went to was it was AA Con 2018. And I remember feeling that exact same feeling you're talking about. It's kind of this exhilaration almost, where it's like, finally, these people that, like, these are conversations I was just having with people online mostly. But suddenly I'm in a whole room full of people that feel the same way as I do about this thing. And that's unusual, especially where I'm from. I also noticed that at the time I was in college when I first went, these conferences, two things I noticed, they tend to skew older. They tend to skew with, I'd say 30 plus, 40 plus, which is fine, I guess. I think that makes sense. Younger people, maybe they don't need it as much. I don't know.
Right.
But the other thing I noticed too was there's a lot of introverts at these conferences and conventions. And that's so funny because I think you and I are on the same page. We're both pretty extroverted people. And being in a room full of introverts when you're the only extrovert, I think is pretty fun for me because I can just kind of start these conversations with folks that would otherwise not have these conversations with each other. But I love that there's still conventions and conferences and stuff that talk about this stuff. And I imagine it's probably a bit of a culture shock for you too, since again, for some people, this is their first time they can talk about being a non-believer in a public space. And not feel uncomfortable. Like that is a luxury for a lot of people in this country, which is might be unusual for a lot of international listeners who watch this show and think, oh, well, it's pretty much normal here. It is not. It is not the norm to be a non-believer for the most part in the United States. So very different.
I found that it depends on the pockets that you're in and which denomination that you're in, because there are Catholics who it certainly seems they're a lot more open to people being non-believers.
America is a patchwork of random ideologies that don't sometimes make sense together, and for better or worse, right? Like if I go to down the street here in my apartment complex and I ask people what they think about things, I guarantee like we'll find some cognitive dissonance on their beliefs in like 5 minutes. Like it won't take too long. But at the same time, I don't know. There's something fun about that. I like the wackiness that this country can produce sometimes. It provides me endless entertainment, even if it is at the expense of most people. I don't know.
Right.